Okay.
And we're recording.
Hi.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
So there's a few of us that are unmuted right now, but most of the rest of you will be muted. Let's see. Okay, so I'm seeing that everybody's muted. Okay, so while we're waiting to start, because we're going to start in 1 minute, Jenny, wave your hand up there. Jenny's going to quickly go over a couple of how to use the chat and how to raise your hand. So, and we'll do this really quick now, and then we'll do it again once I bring everybody on. So.
Okay, it's really easy to raise your hand. There's going to be a couple times in the meeting where this is on journaling. You're going to be able to journal a few things, and you may want to share. So if you want to share what you've written, if you take your cursor and move it around your picture, you're going to see 3 little dots in the blue. If you click on those 3 little dots, it's not there. Oops. Okay, different computers are different, though. That's interesting. So to raise your hand, Natalia.
You know why? You can't see it. Look on your iPad, Jenny, because as a host, you can't see how to raise your hand.
Is that where it is? That's where it used to be. Okay, so that's where it is. It says raise your hand. It has a little picture of a hand. You click on that, and what it does is it puts a little red hand in the corner. And it also, because we may have 100 people on here, it will move you to the top so that our moderator, if we want to choose you, it puts you up where we can find you. So if you want to share something you've written, go to the 3 dots, click on them, and raise your hand. Now, there's another symbol that's like this. That's to give a shout out saying, good job. And we all love that, but that won't get you up to the top. So make sure you raise your hand, the single hand. The other thing is, if you have questions throughout the entire presentation during the speaker time, please use the chat room. Type out your questions, and we'll pick out the ones, because people might have the same ones, and ask them of Annis. You don't raise your hand to ask a question. Please type your questions, all questions, in the chat room.
And how do you get to the chat, Jenny?
And at the bottom of your page, it has a little chat button. And you just click the chat, and it'll put the chat window up to the right or left of your Zoom. And then you can you can see what other people are asking.
So Jenny, I just want to say that in my chat box, once I click that button, the raise your hand is at the bottom of that square.
Okay.
On my computer.
Yes, and Annis, you would know, because you're not on the host, and see, we can't see that. So
right.
You have to be not a host.
Right.
Also, I want to say that if the presenters will be unmuted, obviously, like Dennis and Sandy and Janet. So we're going to keep an eye on where you guys are, but we need to unmute you. But then when Dennis is ready to do the Peggy Connolly Scholarship, we'll be unmuting Sandy and Allison. So wherever you guys are, you might want to raise your hands. It's alphabetical. For the most part, it's easy, but I'm seeing now it's not alphabetical. So anyway.
For what it's worth, you guys, the raise your hand is under the, if I have to click on my participants button to see raise a hand. Yeah.
Right.
So there's no 3 dots or anything. So I guess just fool around until you find it on your screen.
Okay.
Right. Now that you mention that, it is on participants, not on chat for me too.
Yeah, you got to click on participants, and you can see everybody. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started. If you need to do a a refresher, Jenny, when it's time for questions and whatnot, just go ahead and you can explain it then. So welcome everyone. This is kind of a different meeting today. We are not going to be doing useful moments. We are going to be, the first part of our meeting is going to be walk honors. And then the second part of our meeting is going to be a presentation by Cassells. And okay. And if you guys, all of a sudden I'm going to look to the side because people are saying stuff. So if I get distracted, I apologize. And today, all of you know Donna Harris. If not, raise your hand, Donna. There you go. Donna is our vice president. She's going to be co-hosting our meeting today. So I'm going to be doing the first part, and she will be doing the second part with closing out the meeting. So anyway, so welcome to Walk Honors. Walk Honors, for those of you that don't know, it is a yearly celebration of our walk members, our volunteers, our people that have achieved over and above for the year. So we honor like the blog challenge winners. And Janet, when you present the blog challenge winners, can you just explain just a little bit about what was required to do that? And then obviously Sandy, when you do the active members, just a little blurb about that. Dennis, you know, you can talk about Peggy Conley, and then Robert Hargraves, so people will know what these actual awards are for. So anyway, what we should do is just get started here. So Janet, are you ready? Okay, so we need Janet unmuted there.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Well, it's my privilege to announce the Dan McGuire Blog Challenge Awards. Once a year, the Walk Challenge bloggers have to blog at least twice a week for 1 month. Along with that, they have to respond to other people's blogs. So this challenge, they have to do that every week. They have to respond to at least 2 other bloggers. The challenge was named after one of our most popular members of Walk, Dan McGuire. He was a devoted blogger and loved Walk, was a hell of a keyboard player and one of the nicest people you could ever meet. Unfortunately, Dan passed away a few years ago, so this is how we've chosen to honor him. Today, our bloggers will be receiving a certificate that looks like this. And I'll read it to you. It says, the Executive Board of Writers of Kern, by virtue of the authority given them, have conferred the title of 2020 Dan McGuire Blog Challenge Survivor. Let's see, on, and then your name will go there, who has successfully completed the publication of 26 blog posts in 13 weeks and is entitled to all honors, privileges, and bragging rights thereto pertaining, given at Bakersfield, California on the 16th of May in the year of 2020, and it is signed by our president, Joan Raymond. So this year's winners are Sin Bermudez.
And when your name is called, wave. So
I'm sorry?
I was just going to say, when your name is called, if you guys can just wave so people can see where you are.
Okay. Again, Sin Bermudez, Diane Buxton, Natalia Correz. I don't know if this is Vonnie Deporte or Vaughn Deporter. Debbie Fogel, Paula Glover, Judy Cucaruza, and Sandy Moffat. And each person will receive this certificate PDF. So congratulations to all those people who were stuck in there and blog. That's it.
Thank you, Janet. And I will be making the PDFs and you will be getting them within the week because I have to make each one individually. And then I'm going to, well, it's actually on a different program. I'm going to change it to a PDF, and you'll get it by email. So then you can print it out and you can frame it and brag for the next year. So, and I want to thank Dennis for the wording, because I've always thought that was the most amazing wording, that you get bragging rights. So that's, yeah. Okay, so for the new active members, Sandy, where are you? There you are, okay. And so explain what active is.
Good morning, everyone. The California Writers Club has two distinctions as to their listing of members. One is an associate member. That is a person who has not yet been published enough to receive the honor of being called active. There is on our website a link to the points system that California Writers Club uses, and you can go on there and add up your clips or your publications, however you want to refer to them. And if you have 15 points, then you can move from associate to active status. And we have pins that I will be mailing to 3 people today. And the 3 people receiving that honor today are Susan Baker. And I know Susan said she was going to be here this morning.
Yeah, I see her.
Okay. And Jeanette Green. And there's Jeanette.
Yep.
And finally, Carla Martin. And is Carla here? Okay. Anyway, so I will be mailing those pins to you out in Monday's mail. I will wrap them in toilet paper so they're ever so more valuable. No, just kidding. But anyway, congratulations to those 3 new active members. We really appreciate your hard work.
Yay. And one thing to note is that Writers of Kern is the only club that I know of that has the active member pins. We started those years and years ago, and it's always been a lot of fun to award them and then proudly show them at a meeting, or, you know, just you can wear it to the grocery store right now, mask up and put the pin on. So, okay, so the Robert Hargraves Award, Janet. Can you explain what that, and by the way, Sandy is our membership chair for those that don't know, and Janet is our secretary. So these are board members that help quite a bit. Okay.
The Robert Hargraves Award is named for one of the Writers of Kern members who was involved for many years. Robert was a veterinarian, actually, and he did a large portion of his work in Vietnam during the war. He had a few hairy experiences there that I'm not going to go into, but you can get his book, Mr. Bob, the Chicken Doctor, and read up on those adventures. Anyway, as you know, it's quite an accomplishment to have a book published traditionally. There's rights, and then there's rewrites, and then again, there's rewrites. Then you have to find an agent. And after the agent has agreed to take you on and likes your piece, maybe ask you to rewrite it again, it goes to, he finds or she finds a publisher for you. If the publisher accepts it, then you are traditionally published. So we'd like to celebrate 2 of our members who have achieved that honor. The first one is Andrew Roth for Wildfire for Rose.
And Andy's not here today. He wasn't able to make it. So.
And the second is Sin Bermudez, Sin Bermudez for Not Home for Christmas. This is part of a trilogy.
Holidays. Not home for the holidays.
Not home for the holidays.
There she is. Okay. There's Sin.
I said Christmas. I'm sorry. Excuse me. There's.
Don't worry.
All righty. So your names will be added to this plaque. Let me get it.
Yay.
Yeah. And it says the Robert Hargraves Achievement Award. So there's a picture of Bob there. And then you'll also get a smaller plaque for you to hang in your home and brag about your achievements. So I would like to say congratulations to Andrew and Sin.
Thank you.
And when we can, we will get those plaques, and the perpetual plaque will be done. That's usually at the meetings, and it's always, you know, we celebrate everyone, but then the individual ones, you know, due to circumstances beyond our control. So,
Yeah.
Dennis, where are you? There you are. Okay, so Dennis is on next.
Morning, everyone. I'd like to start just by adding to what Joan said about the new active member pins. Not only are we probably the only California Writers Club branch that awards active pins to members, we do a number of things that no other chapter does, and this awards honor ceremony is one of the things that we do to celebrate our members. I'm here this morning to present the awards to the Peggy Connolly Scholarship winners. The Peggy Connolly Scholarship honors the memory of Peggy Connolly, who was a founding member, longtime member of Writers of Kern, a children's writer who was very supportive and of children's writers, encouraging them to write and to get their books and other pieces published. The Writers of Kern established this scholarship fund in Peggy's honor, and our goal is each year to provide two $500 scholarships to aspiring children's writers. And we're happy this year to have two really wonderful recipients of the award. They are Allison Crosser Kimmel. Is Allison here this morning?
Yes.
And Rebecca Langston George.
And I know both of them are here. Where are you? Did you unmute them yet, Donnie?
I was looking for them. Yes.
Myself. That's okay.
Oh, there you are. There's Allison.
Okay. And Rebecca should be unmuted too.
So Rebecca, you need to talk so we can see you.
Thank you very much.
There you are.
It's a great honor because I knew Peg Connolly, and Peg Connolly was one of the first writers that ever welcomed me into the writing world in about 2003. I attended a critique group meeting at her house at her kitchen table, and then she later was my assistant in SCBWI, Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. So I'm very honored to receive something in Peg's memory because she was a friend. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Rebecca, and thank you for that.
And also, I have
background into Peg Connolly. That's wonderful.
I have your really, really nice certificates, and those will go out in the mail next week. And Sin will be sending a check, so she needs to confirm addresses and whatnot. So
I just wanted to say thank you very much. I didn't have the honor of knowing Peggy, but I have the honor of knowing Rebecca. So anytime I get to stand next to her, even virtually, I feel like I won the lottery. So thank you. And I wanted to show you all the book that comes out June 9th. And the scholarship is going to go for trying to get a book trailer for the book and help me promote it, because I wasn't able to do that with the last book. And I wanted to try it with this book, especially in this time of social distancing, not really sure how to launch a book. So thank you for helping me do that.
That's awesome.
You're welcome, and congratulations to both Rebecca and Allison. And I want to add my thanks and gratitude to Anna Cassells and Janet Skabinski for their help in promoting the Peggy Conley Scholarship. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Dennis. I appreciate it. And so that kind of leads me into wanting to thank all of our volunteers. This club would not run with all of the amazing people that help make this happen. So I listed the volunteers. If you have printed out your agenda, I've listed, I know I've forgotten a few, and I apologize to those that I forgot, but I did want to say, so our walk officers, Donna Harris, our vice president, Sin Bermudez, our treasurer, Janet Skabinski, our secretary, Sandy Moffett, our membership chair, Natalia, who runs the club. She, because she makes sure our website is up and running, and she, if there's ever a challenge, she's there. And she also does our newsletter. So when you get the newsletters, that's all Natalia. Jenny Estes, she is our critique group coordinator, and when we're in person, she's our sound engineer. Gay Chambers, she is, and oh my goodness, I know, and what on the very back page it says, and all of a sudden I'm nervous, I'm forgetting, she's our member at large, so she comes to our meetings, and if you guys have a question or want to bring something up to the board, you can get a hold of Gay. Stephanie Absent, there she is, Stephanie. I can see where she is. Wave, Stephanie. Okay, she's a little wave. She's the one who sends out our sunshine cards. And so if there's something going on, she'll be the one that you get a card from. And Susan Baker, Susan, wherever you are, I know you're on here. There you are. She is our publicity chair, and she sends out all the goodies to the newspapers and magazines and all the radio stations and whatnot. And then, like Dennis said, there was a PC, Peggy Connolly Scholarship Committee, and it was Dennis, Annis, and Janet. And I really appreciate all the work you guys did on that. And then for the fall writing contest, Dennis heads that up, and he has a group of volunteers that blind read our copies, our entries. And so Dennis, thank you for doing that every year. I really appreciate that too. And I think that is it. So thank you to everybody that makes this club run so smoothly. It makes it very easy for all of us to be here for everyone month after month. So I'm going to do some announcements, and then we will get on to our, oh, sorry, did I say it wrong? Janet is Secretary Sandy's membership. I apologize. Senior moment. Can I call a senior moment on that? I do that all the time. You know, I'm over 60, so I can do that. Okay, so the announcements. Our summer conference is going to be online July 18th. We have changed the fee, and it's going to be $20 for everyone, whether you're a member or a non-member. So $20 for all attendees. There's a link for more information and to register. And if you've registered previously for the $65, we can apply the $20 to the conference and then the $45 to your membership dues. So then nothing comes out of pocket. And we will be sending out emails about this. So if you have registered in the past, watch for an email, and we'll figure that all out. The Walk Anthology, yay, Walk Anthology. Everybody's been looking forward to this. And just because things have been kind of hectic with going online and whatnot, we've kind of put that off until July, but starting, you'll get details in the June newsletter, and then all of the submissions guidelines will go up on July 1st. This is a members only anthology. And it's like it was last time, we have a lot of different categories to submit, and we have an editorial team that will be reading, and we'll be accepting and then also sending rejections. So that's the worst part of it all. Elections for board positions next month. So please come to our meeting next month. We'll be voting via online, raising hands, or, you know, however you do that, because June is the month that we elect officers and chairs, well, officers, and then the board appoints chairs for the following year. So we still need a critique group coordinator. And without a critique group coordinator, that means that critique groups will still go on, but no new people will be placed. So we need someone to step up and say, hey, I want to do that. And then publicity, Susan does a lot, but it would really be nice to have a second person helping Susan. And these are both appointed positions. So if you're interested, let us know, and we'll go from there. I am going to turn it over to Donna right now. She's going to do the second part of the announcements and then introduce Annis. Thank you, everybody.
Yes, thank you. So upcoming, all of our meetings will be online via Zoom until further notice. And I guess you can understand why. So our next meeting is June 20th. We will have Judy Billingsley, tips on researching, writing, and publishing your family legacy, which I'm very excited about. And like Joan said before, that's going to be when we do our elections for board positions and submissions for appointed positions in June. Also in July, we're going to have our summer conference, and I'm really excited about that. And there'll be some more information coming out about details and things about that, but that's going to also be online. And our August meeting will also be online with Dr. Christina Gessler, Funds for Writers, How to Apply for Grants, Residencies, Scholarships, and Fellowships. So I hope I didn't say that all too fast, because I tend to be a fast talker.
I was going to add one thing, that all of our meetings except for the conference are free for guests and for members. So whether you're a guest or member, whether you live in Bakersfield or you're right now in Oregon or somewhere else, you can attend either live, and then we are also putting the recordings for all the regular meetings up on our website. So if you don't get a chance to be there live, then you can see them later. And of course, for the conference, that's going to be different, because that's going to be a paid event with 4 speakers. So only the people that have paid for the event will get a link to the recording. Sorry, Johnny.
No, you're perfectly fine, because I wouldn't have remembered to say all that. Okay, so do we go straight to Annis, or do we take a break, or?
If anybody needs to get up and get a drink of water or something, you can go for it. And or you can just go ahead and introduce Annis, because it is going to be recorded. So
okay, so today's workshop will be presented by our lovely Annis Cassells. Annis is our ray of sunshine, so it's only fitting because she used to be our sunshine chair. And I have great affection for Annis, and I'm really excited that in her workshop, she's going to discuss the benefits of journaling, types of journals, and formulating a journal practice. She will show us all how to write using several different forms, which can be used as models and inspiration or topic ideas. So, and she's going to tell us a little bit about herself. So Annis, please.
Thank you. Thanks, Donna. I'm going to try to get my PowerPoint up, so if you'll give me a moment here to do that. So I just want to say hi, everybody, that, whoops. I'm a longtime member of Writers of Kern, so I know many of you, and I got to get back to the beginnings. I was practicing this morning, you know. It stopped in the middle. Okay. There we go. Okay, so I'm coming to you from the Oregon coast today, and it is sort of a gloomy day with no sun yet, but it normally comes out about 10 a.m. So we'll be looking forward to that then. Like I said, many of you know me, or I know you from our longtime association with Writers of Kern or elsewhere, because I see I have some friends in the audience who are not necessarily Writers of Kern people, but people I've known a long time. So shout out to Ruth. And I'm a lifelong teacher. I taught mostly 7th and 8th grade in my career, but I've also taught kindergarten through senior adults. And right now I'm doing senior adults, writing their life stories for their kids and grandkids, or for themselves. So I'm a writer and poet, and one of my lifelong dreams was to publish my own book. And so last February, a year ago February, I published my book of poems, You Can't Have It All. So in today's workshop, we're going to write several times, and I'm going to encourage you to use paper or your journal and a pen or pencil for this writing, because one thing that helps me get the thoughts flowing is if I can feel the pen and or the pencil on the paper and see the letters flowing, the writing passes through my system. Today, we're going to welcome questions and comments. And so I want this to be kind of an interactive presentation. And so I'm going to ask you to go ahead and put in the chat box if you have questions or comments. But when it comes to sharing, if you choose to share what you have written in your journal or in response to the prompts today, I'm going to ask you to be mindful of the fact that this is a recorded session. And so what you might share will be up on YouTube or on our website. And if you are wanting to share your writing, just raise your hand and say yes in the chat box. And then if you're called upon, then we'll welcome you to share verbally, but don't write your response in the chat box. So that will work fine. Some things we're going to cover today: the benefits and reasons for journaling, some of the rules, something about themed journals that are for a specific purpose. And if you care to set up your own journaling practice, then I have some tips and suggestions about how you might go about doing that. So who's journaling? Who's journaling already? And who wants to begin journaling? Okay. So I'm wondering, do you have half-filled journals sitting around that you've started, or are you sporadically writing in your journal, or do you have brand new journals that people have given you and they're stacked in boxes or on your shelf and you're just looking for an excuse or procrastinating about getting started? I began journaling when I was in college, English 101 at Eastern Michigan University. The English teacher, and I can't remember her name now, but I should, because I still do some things that she taught me how to do. She required journaling. And my feeling about it was, oh gosh, just something more to do. But I was hooked by the end of the semester and have been journaling off and on ever since. I have to admit, though, I find that I journal more when I want to get into a creative bent, or I journal more when I'm doing the blog challenges, and I journal more in times that are hard for me. So I'm wondering about what's been your own journaling experience. If you've been journaling regularly, what got you started? If you want to start, why do you think you'd like to start? And so I'd like you to take out your pen and paper, and jot down a paragraph about your relationship with journaling. And I'd also like you to set an intention for yourself today for this session. What is it that you hope to gain from being here today with us? And I'm going to set my timer for 3 minutes and this would be like the usual museful moment. I'll set that timer and let you get started. And then if you want to share, you can raise your hand in the chat, in the participant box.
Annis,
Yes.
it would be helpful if you would stop sharing your screen so we could see you when you have a lot more to say than just on that one slide, and then go back to sharing.
Okay. Thank you.
We'd like to
So-
see you when you're talking.
Oh, okay. Then I'll stop share and it's gonna, there we go. Is that better? Oh, thank you
Yes.
for that. All right. So we
And you-
hear the gentle harp of the timer. And so do we have folks who, well, I'll start. As I said, I have a long time relationship with journaling, and I started back in college. Why is this thing still going? Okay. I have started back in college. My intention for today is to mention some things to you that will either get you excited and started on journaling if you're new, or to remind you of some things that maybe you've heard before, but they've been put in the background and you're going to want to begin to journal again. So that's my intention for today. So Danae, do we have anyone who has volunteered to share?
We have Sandy, her hand is raised.
Okay. Cindy, we'll hear from you, please.
Sandy.
Oh, Sandy, thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that correctly.
That's okay. I answered almost anything, Annis. I started journaling as a teen. Life had not been pleasant in so many ways, and my journal was a safe place to express what I couldn't say out loud to anyone.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Okay. So I see that Mariella has a question, and she says she wants to be clear on what is journaling. Is it like a diary? And I hope to be answering that question, Mariella. Okay. Anyone else? Looks like Stephanie. Would you unmute Stephanie Absent?
Yes.
Thank you. And then I saw another hand, Julie and Shelley, and that'll be all we'll have time for right now. Okay. Thank you. Go ahead, Stephanie.
When I journal, I discover more about what I'm concerned at the moment. I discover answers I didn't know were available. I like to write or copy spiritual quotes that help me learn more about how to live. They give me guidelines on problems I'm having.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. You're validating what I'm going to be talking about too. So we have Julie Bondaroff and Shelley Evans.
Julie's
Julie?
unmuted. Okay, I come from a very private family, and so I think I've always been afraid to journal because I didn't want other people to ever read it, because you know, I don't live in a vacuum, so I might be talking about other people and they can't defend themselves or give their perspective, you know, if I'm writing that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Also, sometimes I don't like looking in too much because I have a tendency towards depression. And so I prefer to look up and out. And so those are the kind of things that happen in me when I talk about journaling.
Okay, well, thank you for that. Thank you. Shelley Evans.
I've been given many journals in the past and I wouldn't even look at them. I'd stack them because I didn't want to make any errors and miss perfectionist here in my handwriting. So I finally was heading to my first writers conference in Central Coast a few years ago. And I purposely packed a journal and I actually opened it up and started working on it and filled it up. They're small, but I opened my second one up and I went, wait a minute, I'm a poet. I have to write poetry. So now they're all in poems. Most of them.
All right. Well, thank you. Thanks everybody for sharing. Whether you share or not, this is a good thing for you for reflection. And I'm going to go here.
Annis, can I just make a mention to people? If you have a question, make sure it goes to everyone. That
yes.
Your question that goes to everyone and not to Annis privately, because we're going to be screening the questions, and then we'll ask them of Anna. So if you do have a question, put them in the chat room, but make sure it's going to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. All right. We're all learning as we go here how this is working, aren't we? So in response to Julie and Shelley and Stephanie, journaling is writing for yourself, everybody. It's your own private personal space, and you are the master of it, unless you choose to share. But if you do have a concern about other people getting into your journal, like remember back in the days when we had those little diaries and we worried, and our mothers did find them sometimes, or our little brothers or sisters did find them sometimes, then the one option is to do your journal online with a password locked. But the journal is a place for your self-reflection and for your own self-exploration and your self-reflection. So be bold, be unique, be different, be yourself. Okay, and so why is this not moving? So Mariella asked about diaries and journals. Many of us started with these little 5-year diaries that somebody gave us for Christmas or a birthday or something. And we just thought it was the cat's pajamas, as they used to say, that we had this lock and key, and it was a flimsy little lock and a tiny little key that, you know, could get lost anywhere. But we just thought that was a great thing if we had those little diaries. And then, but we knew that we didn't want to share that with everyone. We would have been mortified if anyone else had picked it up. But then this young woman who started in her diary, I'm sure she never thought that it would be a globally read piece for many, many years to come. So Anne Frank probably wrote what she wanted and didn't think anybody else would see either. Same with this writer of fiction and nonfiction. It's Elizabeth Gilbert's first journal. And so you can see she wrote Things I Like. And she has gone on to be a writer that is well-known, well-renowned, and globally read. Virginia Woolf called her journals diaries, and she used hers as a writer's sketchbook. And she said it allowed her to, quote, net the loose drifting material of life. Let's see. I see. I lost a slide. Anyway, this is going to start. I'm starting on the benefits of journaling. And there are many physical and mental benefits. One is self-care. And self-care is proven to be beneficial for emotional health as well as physical health. One of the things it does is journaling helps decrease anxiety, and it boosts self-confidence and increases happiness. It quiets the mind, it empties the brain and lets people enjoy the quietness of after a brain dump, so to speak. It's also a chance to unplug from social media and our devices and so on, and that's always a good thing because we can get too caught up in that and all that that means. Emotional healing is another benefit of journaling. We're releasing emotional burdens and expressing feelings that we couldn't share with anyone else, kind of similar to what Sandy said. And this quote by Marion Dane Bauer, the author, "My journal was a friend, a place to go with feelings that weren't safe to express in my life. What would have been dismissed or criticized or offensive to other people in some way." And we'll talk a little bit more about emotional healing a little further on. Personal growth. Okay, I want to know how to get backwards because I missed one. I'm going to reflection and clarity. The journal offers us an opportunity for reflection. What we did, and what we didn't do, the high points of our lives, how we met challenges. We can stop and think about that and remember those things. We can think about how we felt and how far we've come with what we've experienced and what we've accomplished. The journal also provides clarity, and it helps us to clarify and organize our thinking, helps us with decision making and to sort out options. Let's see. For personal growth, you know, we all change and grow over the years, but the journal gives us an opportunity to give us more insight into our lives and help us make sense of things. And we see anew where we came from and where we are now, because we all change and grow. And it helps us to understand ourselves all the better. A repository for memories we might just want for ourselves to go back and enjoy and remember, memories maybe even to share with other people. And I do teach some memoir writing classes, and I bill it as an opportunity to write your life stories for your children and grandchildren. But the people who don't have children and grandchildren tell me that it really is a wonderful thing for them to review their lives and to also be able to look back at where they've come. And so the journal can be the springboard for if you want to end up writing your life stories or your memoir. Journaling also enhances creativity. I mentioned that when I want to just really get a creative burst, that's one of the places that I do it in my journal. It lets me stretch my imagination with writing prompts sometimes, or just looking around the room. As Natalie Goldberg says, look around and see where your surroundings and focus on something. It helps to play with forms and I approach it sometimes with a playful attitude. So it's a chance to experiment and see what shows up. And let's see. And I'm going to read you a little something from my journal of February 12th, so you can see what showed up. So this was taken from that prompt by Natalie Goldberg. Rubber band, tan, narrow. The elasticity almost gone because of stretching. The rubber band doesn't return to its original size. But what does once it's stretched beyond its capacity or shape? Sweaters? No. They remain misshapen and bag out in areas where they've been overstretched. Stomachs or abs? No, not soon. Just ask the physical trainer or the new mother about the length of time it takes to recover. Our brains, our minds? No. And this is the happy circumstance. Once our brains are stretched, they can never become narrow again. We can't unlearn, unthink, unsee what has transformed us and our thoughts. Can't close the door to the world that's been opened or left ajar. The more we know. So I started with a rubber band. I end up with something totally different that kind of gives my feeling about life and about philosophy, my philosophy of life. So journaling can take you lots of places. Let's see. So the next thing is going to be another chance for you to write and share. And if you downloaded the handout or printed out the handout, this is the place where we're going to write the bio poem. And why the heck am I doing a bio poem in a journaling workshop? It's because this is a type of exercise that will help generate prompts for you. And by the time we're finished with this, you'll end up having about 30 prompts that you could use to go back and look here and take off on that for your journal. So, excuse me a minute. So the bio poem, I've used this with people of all ages, from 7th graders through 80-year-olds. So it works. It's really good. So it's a 10-line poem. The first line is just your first name. The second line is 4 words that describe you, 4 adjectives. So if I were doing this, I might write Anna's, adventuresome, congenial, listening, one more that I can't think of off the top of my head. Okay, so the next line is the sibling of, or you could put the daughter or son of so-and-so, or you could put friend of so-and-so. Lover of 3 things, people or ideas. So I might put lover of motorcycles, lover of travel, lover of live theater, okay, or whatever. Line 5, who feels. So these are 3 items that you feel strongly about, or you have feelings about. And then the next line, who needs, 3 things that you need in your life or in the world. Then line 7 is who worries, 3 things you may worry about or be concerned about. Who laughs, 3 things that make you laugh or tickled or enjoy life. Line 9, resident of or citizen of. I could put, if I were in Bakersfield, I could put my city, resident of Bakersfield, Whitley Drive, the universe. And then line 10 closes with the last name, so that your first name and last name are like the bookends of the actual bio poem. So I'm going to set the timer again and give you time to write. Not as long as you probably need, but it will give you a chance to get a good start. So I'm going to go ahead and begin, and I'd like you to go ahead and begin. So we have about a minute left. And that's our time. If you would care to share either your entire one or a piece of it, you can raise your hand, and then Danae can see.
Because I can't see everyone, I need you to raise your hand on Zoom. So I see Gay. So I'm going to unmute Gay.
You want me to go ahead and talk now?
Yes.
Okay. Gay, happy, joyful, friendly Christian, sibling of Renee, lover of Christ, creativity, and fellowship, who feels encouraged, content, and happy, who needs friendships, time to create, and food, who worries not to worry, who laughs at myself and my characters, resident of Bakersfield Chambers.
Thank you, Gay. Thank you very much. All right. I appreciate you sharing. Who else would like to share?
I see Joanne Schmidt. So I'm going to unmute you.
Okay. Okay, you want me to read it?
Yes, go ahead, Joanne.
Okay. Joanne, kind, intelligent, compassionate, caring, daughter of Maria Esther and Joe, lover of poetry, pets, music, who feels happy, trapped, insecure, who needs clarity, more order, love, who worries about excessive possessions, loved ones, my next move, who laughs at my partner's jokes and wit, who laughs as a survival mechanism as often as possible, citizen of the world, and my last name Schmidt.
Thank you very much, Joanne. I appreciate it. Is it Joanne?
Yes, Joanne.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much, Joanne. We appreciate you being willing to share. Is there anyone else?
I don't see any more hands raised, and I don't see anybody else waving or anything. So.
Okay, that's fine. That's great. So, there you have it. You have writing about friends, writing about jokes that you like, writing about family members, writing about where you live, writing about whatever the things are that worry you or concern you. And so right there, if you take each one individually, you've got 30 prompts to get you started, places to look back if you get stuck on a morning journal practice. Appreciate everybody. Thank you. So I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. And I am here. And let's see. So we've done some some journaling stuff, so to speak. And now about the rules. Okay. Well, there are no rules. Okay. There are no rules for journaling. That's the main rule. So you can choose any type of book you want, whether it's a bound book, a spiral book, a notebook, whether it's lined or it's unlined. You can include any topic you want, whether it is memories, whether it's your experiences in life, whether it's ideas that you have, maybe it's lists Maybe it's pictures or collages that are going to give you something to write about. I recently saw a journal where the person had pasted newspaper clippings, and then they had written, it was from 1943, and it was during the wartime, you could tell. So then they had written about either the picture or the picture reminded them of their own war experience. You can add maps or scraps of anything that you might have, tickets to ticket stubs to a play or to some event. Don't even worry about spelling, about grammar, about punctuation, about anything in the world that those English teachers sort of metaphorically wrapped you on the knuckles for, or red penned your work. Do write whatever you want, as much as you want, even if it's on the same topic. That's one thing for me. I find myself returning to the same topic, and that just tells me that I need to look at it again or look at it more. Write wherever you want and whenever you want for as many minutes as you want. So truthfully, there are no rules, no real rules. So I'm going to talk about themed journals here, and you can see the themes: gratitude, dream, anticipation, travel, art, learning, and tough times. I've got a couple that I'm going to really talk about, but then I decided I'd sort of take a poll. If there's any one of these that you really want to hear more about, just write it in the chat box if it's whichever one it might be. Right now, up until now, we've been talking about your own book, your own journal, anything that you want to put in that journal. But sometimes folks might like to have a journal that's themed. And right now, I have three journals going. I have my regular all-purpose journal that I read from you earlier today. I have a dream journal that I write the dreams that I have. Sometimes I'm up in the middle of the night writing that dream down. Sometimes if I have that dream just before, I call it the drowsing time, just before I wake up, then I will get right up and go right to the dream journal and add some things, write down the dream. I started doing this about 25 years ago when I was doing some therapy, and that was one of the suggestions that my counselor had. And so I've continued doing that because the dreams they're kind of speaking to me. If you have a dream, it makes you see what you need to see. It's showing you something that you need to pay attention to, or it is for me. Yes.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
Just wanted
No.
to let you know, two of the themes that have come up. A lot of people are saying they write about all these things. However, a couple people wanted to learn, were more interested in a learning journal and what that's about, and also
Okay.
times.
Okay, very good. Thank you for that. So the learning journal, I used the learning journal when I was teaching. I was teaching math, and I'm an English teacher. So I wanted to give kids a writing experience, and I wanted to get more of an insight into their heads about what they were learning as far as math is concerned. Now, as an adult, using a learning journal, if I'm learning a new skill, for example, when I was learning how to do PowerPoint, I might write down in my learning journal the lesson of the day and what that required of me, how I was, what I actually did. I might put down, excuse me, how I felt about it. So gave myself some kudos. Pat yourself on the back. You're doing great with this, or you're learning, or just a little more practice, or whatever on a day-by-day basis as the learning is taking place. So it could be any skill. It could be if you're learning how to paint, if you're learning how to knit, or how to build some machine, anything you want. If it involves new learning for you, writing down those steps, writing down how you're feeling about it and how you're doing, maybe writing down resources that you've used, those things that if you wanted to, you could go back and refer to in that learning journal. And the Tough Times Journal, that's one that I was really going to talk about too, because sometimes we have things going on in our lives that are, should I take this off now? Or can you see me?
Please, we'd like to see you.
Okay, so I will, all right, that's what I wanted to know. Okay, sorry about that. So in the Tough Times Journal, I've kept it, okay, it could be the breakup journal, all right? We all have these times when we break up with a friend or break up with a relationship. So the breakup journal is really good because you can just pour your heart out and tell it all and wail on the person or whatever you need to do to help get yourself through this emotional experience. I kept a Tough Times journal after my mom was diagnosed with cancer. And in that journal, I talked about how I felt. I talked about her diagnosis. I talked about what the doctors said. I talked about who came to visit. I talked about what I was doing for myself, for my own self-care outside of writing in the journal, because that was one of my things that was for my self-care. I wrote about the progress of the disease. I wrote about the family support and who else supported me, and all of those things that just helped me get through it. So that's the Tough Times Journal. And if right now we were writing a Tough Times Journal, we might write the Coronavirus Journal. And I have one of those. Let's see. Here it is. I don't know if you can see the front of it, but it says, "This is big." And so after my friend Dennis van der Werf gave me an article about, after he gave me an article about coronavirus journals and how it's a good time to be writing about this experience and putting ourselves into this historical context. What are we going through? Everybody's story is different. Mine is different than the person who, as a retired teacher, is different from the person who's working every day in the public sector. Everybody's story is different. Everybody's story is valid. One of these days, young people are going to be studying about this time in history. And your journal, on my journal, on the coronavirus time will make a difference. This is how historians gather information. This is how, when people who are doing their genealogy and they look up their ancestors and they find, oh, here's a journal, Grandma Annis or Auntie Annis wrote about the coronavirus, and they look at that time. For you who have young children or grandchildren, when that time comes when they're studying, you're just going to be a rock star because you're going to give them so much information and make history come alive and be a real personal thing. And so, plus giving them information about how times in life was. When we look back and we see the journals of the people who crossed the United States in the covered wagons, we get a picture and a flavor of that time that we don't get reading in just a dry history book. And so one question I saw was about if it can be retroactive to the tough times. Absolutely. Absolutely, it can be retroactive. You can go back to tough times. And I think my next topic is going to be about writing to heal and expressive writing. And that's exactly what writing to heal and expressive writing is all about. So the Tough Times Journal is one that I have found to be very helpful. Are there other questions about that journal? Okay. I also wanted to talk about the Anticipation Journal. Something's coming up that's going to be wonderful. Graduation. This year, the graduation probably goes in the Tough Times Journal, but in a normal time, things that are that you anticipate, the birth of a child or a grandchild, letters to that child or grandchild, things that you are looking forward to. And then those are the kinds of things that can go in an anticipation journal. Let's see. Any others that folks might want me to say a little more about it? I see a question from Sandy. Should we put our handwritten journals into one large chronological, and I see I lost it. Online format. Some people do that, and they enjoy doing that. I don't do it, but if you think that that would make more sense for you and be organized, then absolutely, absolutely. Okay. Sorry about that. Other questions? Comments? Right now, I have 3 journals going. I don't write in any of them every day. I'm not a consistent person. I'm just going to admit that to you. I am not consistent. So when the mood strikes me or I have a project I'm working on, I'll write in my everyday journal. About every few days, I write in the coronavirus journal. When something happens that this incident or this episode in our lives impacts me, then I write that. I have a thing I wrote about going to Winco for the first time. Let me see if I can find that for you. Another morning, wondering what the speed about the spread of COVID-19. How many more are claimed? How far is it now reaching? And wondering about my own vulnerability. We are distancing from others, going out for necessary appointments and for walks that end up at Starbucks to pick up our mobile order, ending up at the grocery store in case a needed or wanted item is available, in case. I was out early yesterday to do some of our heavier shopping. There was no large container of white vinegar in any store, neither Winco nor Albertsons. No disinfectant wipes, many empty shelves. When I arrived at Winco at 7:10 a.m., a long line of people waited to get in. The line stretched to the end of the building, but the people were patient, spread out instead of right up on top of each other, and the line moved quickly. A manager at the door was letting folks inside in groups of 25 or so, keeping things orderly and flowing. When I left an hour later, long checkout lines, the lineup outside continued. I noticed a few people wearing masks. Most people were considerate, even though focused on their task. So, like on a day when something impacts me, yes, I will write in the coronavirus diary.
Janice, there's been
Yes.
a question about bullet journaling. Do you know anything about that and what makes it different from regular journaling?
It's kind of a listing. I just read up on it a few days ago, but I didn't have it on my thing. It's a listing and it's bullet points, and so it's short types of things sort of reminiscent of a to-do list, but people are saying, the people in the article I read say that it's really helpful to them because they can get it down, they can feel like they're accomplishing things. There are some online blogs about bullet journaling, and so if that's of interest to you, then I suggest that you Google bullet journaling and go ahead and write on that.
There's another question. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
There's another question from Julie. She says she's one of those people who doesn't start for fear of failing, but she likes the idea of journaling in one book and maybe color coding to differentiate what kind of journaling it is.
Oh, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. And you know, when I thought about this presentation too, I thought I didn't think of color coding, but do you remember those spiral notebooks we have for college that you put every class behind a tab? So one of those might work for if you wanted to do themes behind the tabs, because remember, you don't have to have that leather-bound, gold embossed journal to be journaling. Any book that works for you will do. So thanks for that question too. Any others? Okie dokie. Oh, sorry, I've got to go back to share the screen. I found this fascinating about expressive writing. And the main thing about it is moving beyond what you thought you could not get over. And there is a paradigm called the Pennebaker paradigm that Jamie Pennebaker, Pennebaker, originated back in the 1980s. And it's used widely by Dr. John Evans, who does a workshop at Duke University called Expressive Writing, Writing That Transforms. And this is a book that he has, Expressive Writing, Words That Heal. It's on the handout that I sent you with a resource page. So how is it different than journal writing? Well, journal writing is kind of free-flowing. But expressive writing is has a distinct protocol, and what they ask people to do is to write about the most traumatic experience in their life. So, in answer to the question before about retroactive, yes, it's something that happened back in the day that was very upsetting or traumatic to you. And you write about it in terms of your emotions. You don't talk about the event, but you write about it in terms of your emotions and how it affected you then and now. This is a 4-day process. So this is the first 20 minutes or so that you write in this way. And then the second day for 20 minutes or so, you say more about this event that happened and using emotional language and how it affected you. And then on the third day, this is really powerful. You write about it from the perspective of someone else who might have been there. So what was that person thinking and feeling? And you also write it in the perspective of you now as you look back on it. So either of those two ways, the you who was there, oh no, excuse me. You write about it from the perspective of the you who was there then. So you write it in third person. So if I were writing about a traumatic experience, oh, it was the time that my bathing suit fell off in the pool at day camp, okay? So if I wrote about that in the third person, I might write, she jumped into the pool, third person. She jumped into the pool and landed among the screaming teens who were already in the water. Her bathing suit top came untied and floated to the top. She was mortified, and then tell about what she saw happening and so on and so forth. So from the third person. So that's day 3, either perspective of someone else who was there or your perspective in third person. And then the fourth thing is to write about it again in terms of the story you would like to tell in the future. So 20 minutes that day. You can't change the event, but you can change your response to the event and write about it like the story you want to tell about it. Okay? And so that leads us to mindful writing, mindfulness, because that's what expressive writing is in a way too, because you have to focus. But mindfulness while we're writing helps us to be grounded and anchored, and it brings us to what's here right now. So writing mindful meditation follows awareness, we're witnessing something. It acknowledges, we pay attention, which is acknowledges things and how they unfold. It follows acceptance, which describes to ourselves how things are right now. We write from the point of view of affection, writing that supports and holds us in the best light. From appreciation, gratitude or richness, and also an affirmation affirms our experience as it is. So this is one of the things that I was asking, that I asked you to download, or it's one of the writing exercises, mindful writing. So it's page 3 from the handout, but I'll leave this up so you can see it. So I'm going to ask you, I'm going to give 3 possibilities, and then of course you can write however you wish. But so you might write, when I think about COVID-19, I am aware that such and such and such and such. When I think about COVID-19, I'm paying attention to such and such and such, and so on and so forth, all the way down the line. When I think about or it could be when I think about a decision you've made, when I think about my decision to blank, and you fill in the blank, I'm aware that blah, blah, I'm aware of. It could be back in about people that you know or care about. When I think about my parents, I am aware of the struggle that they had being a young Black couple in Detroit in the 1940s, period, and so on and so forth. So it could be any one of these things, or if you have something else you're burning to write, go ahead and write for yourself on that. And I'm going to set the timer, and then if you are willing to share, we can do some sharing. Okay. So we have about 45 seconds left.
Annis, there's a couple questions you might want to look at that you might want to address from Judy and Sandy.
Okay, thank you.
At some point.
All right, I'll stop sharing. Okay, that's the timer. And let's see. Okay, Judy writes, I literally have bins of journals, spiral notebooks, hardbound, beautiful leather journals, thoughts on receipts, have written in journals since I learned to write, have 3/4 of them. What do? I pack them and carry them everywhere. They show progress or lack thereof. What do you suggest? Well, Judy, all I can say is that you have a wealth of life story, of information. You've probably used some of this in the books that you've written, and so they've been good as far as that's concerned. If you're concerned about what to do with them, quote, after you're gone, quote unquote, gee, I don't know if there's someone you want to give them to that you think would benefit from them, or you want to take certain aspects of them and put them in an online thing so that they're compact, and then figure out how you want to either get rid of them or destroy them or whatever you feel like you need to do. I've always threatened that and told my partner that when I go, just take these journals and burn them. So some people may feel that way about it. I'm not sure how you feel about it, but yeah, they can be a load, especially if you're taking them from place to place, and a load on your mind that they might be used in a way that you wouldn't want. So I hope that gives you some idea. I'm not sure. From Sandy, do you feel your family would be hurt by your journals or think them worthless when you are no longer here to protect them? If so, how do you deal with that? I don't think my family would think they were worthless, but there are things in that journal they don't need to know. And so that's why I jokingly, but I mean it, said, take these and burn them when I'm gone. And if I feel myself going, I might light it by and fire myself. But the journal's personal. There are things I choose to share, but again, my daughters do not need to read some of the things I thought about their father. And so, and that's something that keeps coming up every now and then. So I feel like those are things that I will not pass on. Okay. Thanks for those questions. Anybody else? Okay. So the mindful writing. I'll share mine first, and then if anyone wants to share theirs, please raise your hand. When I think about opening the country, I am aware people are struggling on both sides of the issue. When I think about opening the country, I'm paying attention to how it's going to play out. When I think about opening the country, I accept I won't be able to do the things I used to do. When I think about opening the country, I have an affection for my own health and well-being. When I think about opening the country, I appreciate that I have a safe environment and am healthy. When I think about opening the country, I affirm that I am content to wait and see. Okay. Is there anybody that else who might want to share?
I see Sandy. So you're unmuted.
When I think about losing my husband, I am aware that I have no control. I'm paying attention to his health and habits, even though he isn't. I accept that he will make his own choices. I have an affection for his wit. I appreciate his wealth of knowledge. I affirm that I will love him always.
Thank you for that, Sandy. Appreciate it so much. Anyone else? I see Sandy Ryan and Shelley.
Yes. I see, is it Damien? His hand is raised first. So
Okay, yeah, it says Damien, but it's Tammy Bolio. Okay.
okay.
Go ahead,
Sorry,
Tammy.
it's hard for me to see. Go ahead, Tammy.
I'm sorry about that. That's my computer. Okay. When I think about my grandchildren, I'm aware of the profound impact my influence has on their lives and my legacy. When I think about my grandchildren, I'm paying attention to their future selves. When I think about my grandchildren, I accept all of my flaws and flawed examples because they point them out to me. When I think about my grandchildren, I have an affection for this part of my journey. When I think about my grandchildren, I appreciate every frickin' moment I spend with them. When I think about my grandchildren, I affirm this tremendous wealth of feeling loved.
Thank you for that, Tammy. I appreciate that. I had a thought while you were reading about the flaws. A friend of mine said, her granddaughter said to her, "Grandma, you have a lot of wrinkles." And the grandma says, "Yes, I do." And the kid said, "Do they hurt?" Who's next on A?
Let's see, who's waving at me and who's raising?
We had Sandy Ryan, and
Okay.
I think we had Shelley Evans too.
Okay, so I'm going to go to Sandy. I'm going to unmute Sandy. Let me unmute you. Okay, it's giving me a hard time to unmute. Natalia, if you see Sandy, can you unmute her, please? Because I'm having trouble unmuting her.
She may need to unmute herself. Some settings are like that. Sandy, do you see? Is there
I figured out how to unmute myself.
Okay.
There we go. Okay. As a little preface, 2 weeks ago, exactly, we were awoken by a phone call from my daughter-in-law, Amanda, and my son was in a rather serious motorcycle accident. He's home healing now.
Good.
When I think about Joe's motorcycle accident, I am aware that he could have been killed or more seriously injured. I'm paying attention to my granddaughter's perception of the event. I accept that he made a bad decision, probably due to being locked down. I have an affection for his ability to manage pain. I appreciate Amanda, my daughter-in-law, and I affirm that he has a powerful guardian angel.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that, Sandy.
Okay. Let's see. Shelley, you're unmuted.
Okay, thank you. Do you like my COVID hairdo? That's what I wrote about. So, I didn't write all the prompts though. So when I think about COVID-19, I am aware of the physical attempts to protect myself, masks, gloves, hand cleaning. I am paying attention to the people around me when I have to go out. I accept that this is the way it is right now. I have an affection for my husband, my family, and trying to stay safe. I appreciate the nurses, doctors, etc., the frontline people. And I affirm that I am not infected, but I am affected.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Shelley.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone else who might like to share?
I'm scanning.
Okay.
No, I don't see anybody else.
Okay, well, thank you everybody who shared. We really appreciate hearing your thoughts, and it gives us more of an indication of how this works as well. Excuse me. So, oh, I got to go back to the sharing. Sorry. I'm so much used to being right there in the room. So now a few journaling tips. And again, these are not rules, but they're just tips for how you can enhance your journaling experience and get the most out of it. So one is use lots of detail. And by that, I mean sensory detail. It's like any other writing. What do you see, feel, taste, touch? Describe the actions that you are taking or anyone is taking who happens to show up in your journal. And but write without self-censoring. And that's why you might want to burn those journals later. So don't censor yourself, just let it flow, let it go. We talked about the Tough Times Journal or the Coronavirus Journal providing a context. And so in your everyday journal, providing a context is a good thing to do as well. So if there are world events going on or if something is going on locally, you're going to the state fair, excuse me, something new is opening, the Bakersfield Art Museum is just opening exhibit, whatever's going on at the time, it's always a good thing, or it is a good thing to be able to put that in the journal too, to give it some perspective, even if it's like the weather or some other newsworthy event. Often on my daily journal, I call it daily, but as you know, it's not. So I will put the date, the place I am, because sometimes I'm in Bakersfield, sometimes I'm in Oregon. I've even taken my journal on a trip, so sometimes it's I'm wherever that is, like at the Shakespeare Festival or something, and I have a few quiet moments to write and reflect. So date, time, and place I often add. I ask myself questions in the journal. What do I think about that? I might write something and then I'll say, what do I really think about that? Or how do I feel about this? Or what do I want to do next? And that makes the writing continue and helps provide the clarity that we talked about earlier. You might want to reflect on what you've learned and how events have changed you and how you feel now that you have a different perspective. I want to encourage you not to give up. Even if you feel like you're discouraged in your practice, if the practice feels like, oh, it's stale, I have to do this again, whatever, then do something different. Do something different. Okay, all right, I missed. Oh, no, that's not, I didn't miss. Okay, do something different if you have to. You want to change locations maybe. One person advocated turning the journal around and writing upside down, or whatever can help you feel like it's more fresh. Or go to those prompts that we started, or if there are lots of books of prompts, online blogs that have prompts. I've given you a few of those in the resources page in the handout. Let's see, and just keep expanding your journaling, and that will help you feel like it's all working and working well, so you don't get discouraged and you don't give up. And again, this is your thing. This is your personal space. So whatever you want to do with it is okay to do with it. Let's see, where am I? So as you begin or you restart your daily practice, put your attention for commitment out there, your intention for commitment out there, but let go of any pressure on yourself. You don't need to feel pressure about journaling. It's supposed to be a safe place for you, not a pressure-filled place. So one of the things you will want to do when you start your practice is to choose your tools. Whatever makes you happy and keeps the writing flowing, whether it's, right now, my favorite pen is the Tull, T-U-L. I think it has that two little dots over the U, that retractable gel pen. That's my favorite pen of choice right now. So I go looking among all the pens for that one. So pick the book that you want, your favorite pen or pencil. Schedule some writing time. Set an appointment for yourself. Some people don't want to write every day, so they might write 5 days a week. So they know, they put it in their calendar every day, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, at such and such a time, I'm going to write. So they put it in their calendar, because you'll often, we will keep an appointment with someone or something else, rather than just keep something for ourselves. But if it's in the calendar, we'll write it down. Some people like to do 3 days a week. There's no right or wrong. You can do it as much as you want. Some people, though, schedule a morning. Some people like to schedule an evening. Julia Cameron in The Artist's Way advocates doing morning pages and about the same time every morning. So if you're into Julia Cameron and doing The Artist's Way, or just writing your morning pages, schedule it for yourself at a certain time every morning. Some people might prefer lunchtime. If they're working or if they have some quiet time during lunchtime, they might prefer doing that. But whatever it is, it's up to you, and you need to schedule it for yourself. Choose your writing spot, place that's going to be conducive to writing for you. Sometimes you might want to mix it up. But for me, right now, when I'm at home in Bakersfield, my writing spot is the writing desk that I have in the dining area, not where my computer is, not in the office where I do spend a lot of time, but in another spot. And so going to that spot makes me feel like, okay, I've arrived, I'm taking a breath, and this is my journaling place. So someplace comfortable. Occasionally, it's a good idea to reread your journal. Go back and review it. See what you said months ago or even years ago. And that sometimes spurs you on to more writing or a different path. Maybe things have changed since the last time when you wrote that particular item, and you will take off on that topic again. Okay. So now it's time to reflect. Was your intention met today, the intention you set at the beginning? And I wonder if there were new insights for you that you gained, or things that you were reminded of during our time together today that will encourage you to go ahead and journal. And I'm wondering about a statement about journaling. And if you'd like to, you can add to the chat, or I'll give you about a minute to think about it or write something down. And then if you'd like to share, we'll be happy to see that. Okay, so is there anyone who would like to share a reflection?
While Donnae's looking for who's raising their hand, I just want to share real quick that yes, yes, and yes, you have inspired me once again to re-engage.
Well, then my intention is met.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I want to say one thing. I don't know how to unmute myself.
You're unmuted, Stephanie. Go ahead.
Well, a long time ago was a real painful time, and I wrote and I wrote and I wrote. And then one day I thought, it's not good for me to have this. And I took it and put it in the garbage can. And it was just a big relief that this issue, I mean, I still sort of had it, but it was better. And so for me, journaling, that was a really good plus for me. And I really enjoyed your class. So are we getting all this information from somewhere? Because I tried to print and I couldn't get all your stuff.
The handout that was sent out with the email or that invited you should be there, and you click on the PDF and you should be able to print it.
Thank you.
That's right. But I want to speak to the point that you mentioned, that you wrote about something and it was emotional and traumatic, and you wrote about it. And then it was like, I'm done with this. So you threw it away. And that's another beautiful thing about the journal and expressive writing, that you can get it out of your system and then get it out of your life. So thanks for sharing that, Stephanie.
There are some other people that are sharing in the chat. From Sandy, she said, wow, forgot how much journaling helps the creative flow. Thank you for a wonderful presentation.
Oh, you're welcome, Sandy. I appreciate that. And yes, that's one of the main things for me, is the creative juices that start again.
And Allison says, thank you for this. I'm so thankful for the reminder to take time for myself and my writing. Daily journaling is a good way to stay engaged in bite-sized pieces.
It is. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And Julie likes the idea of wide open journaling. She can go anywhere with this.
Okay, absolutely. You can, anywhere.
And from Shelley, she said she had suggested to her husband that he start journaling to help him deal with his health issues. Now he writes more than she does.
Oh, that's encouraging. That's really encouraging, and good call, because it does. It helps you with your self-care and helps you, again, clarify everything for yourself and get the bile, so to speak, out of your system. So thanks for that. Now, good call, Shelley. Okay, do we have anything else we need to address? Okay, let me go back to, I have one last slide. And it's the thank you slide. So anyway, I just want to thank all of you for your attention and for your participation. It's not always easy to do something like this in this type of setting, but I said to myself, well, heck, they're writers. They're gonna be fine. They're gonna be just fine. So I just want to give you, I'm a teacher, right? So homework: finish or expand on today's exercises. And remember from your bio poem that you can use that as a springboard or a beginning if you need it, or you can go back to it later if you need it. But whether you're seeking clarity or you're seeking healing, a place to reflect on your life, or just to blow off steam, or all of the above, your own private place is the journal. And I want to leave you with a quote from Lee Wise, who is the treasurer of Treehouse Foods. He says, journaling is paying attention to the inside for the purpose of living well from the inside out. And so thank you again, everyone. I appreciate you. And it's been my pleasure to journey through journaling with you today. Thanks again for coming.
Thank you so much, Annis.
I appreciate everyone. Thank you.
I don't see Donna. Are you there? Somehow we lost Donna, and I know she was going to close the meeting. So this was fabulous. The meeting is recorded. It's going to be up on our webpage. Natalia, is there anything else I need to say about that? If people are having trouble finding that link to the...
I'll add it to the Facebook page, and it's already up on the website. For those people who don't know what that website is, it's writersofkern.com.
Okay, so anything, if you want the handouts, just go to writersofkern.com. It will be there. The link to the recording will be there. I'm not sure what else they were going to say to close the meeting, but
I have one more thing to say.
Oh, great.
Okay.
Yes.
You have my contact information, so that it's heyannis@sbcglobal.net. If you need to or want to contact me for further information or to respond to a question or whatever, then please do feel free to do that. Okay? Thank you again. Shall we close out?
Yes. Oh, thank you.
Right.
And our next meeting will be online June 20th. Make sure and click the link when you get the email about the meeting. Oh, there's my phone. Click the link and reserve your spot. And everybody stay safe, and we'll see you in a month.
All right. Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.